Quick note before we start, I don't think they should trade Ja.
Yo, what's going on, guys? And today, of course, I want to talk about this report coming from The Athletic saying that Ja Morant would not draw as much trade value as one would think. Now, I don't know how much validity there is behind this report, but it is coming from The Athletic specifically, if we want to quote what the article says, and this is coming from Sam McFred of the Cats and Joe Varden, and that is, at least two league executives tell The Athletic they question the demand for Morant in the trade market, adding for Morant having his only coach fired as they head into the playoffs with just 2 weeks left isn't going to quell questions about where exactly the franchise is headed, or more importantly, in league circles, whether Ja Morant will want to remain there for long term. And I think that's an interesting way to put it, as Ja Morant had missed 8 of the 19 games since the All-Star break, where they had lost 4 out of their last 5. Now that is 5 out of the last 6 since then, and they are 8-12 since the All-Star break. Now, Morant did play this game where they lost to the Lakers, and Ja Morant allegedly didn't like the system that they put in with La Roche, a former trainer with individual players who was in his first season as an NBA system, and Isalo, my apology, now is implementing a PNR rim finishing heavy motion spacing offense that emphasizes rebounding. Obviously, the first game didn't yield the results that they hoped, but what I wanted to talk about today was, who would they even look to trade Ja Morant for? Because Ja makes $39 million next year. And we all know the two teams with the most cap space, one will be the Brooklyn Nets, and the other, of course, is going to be the Detroit Pistons, as Memphis also is technically going to be the 4th most cap space, just in front of Chicago. But they obviously are going to have some contracts they're going to need to extend, like Santi Aldama. But if we go over here and we just look at Ja and players that you would have to think, I don't know, would a contending team trade for Ja? I don't know. I would think one of the ideas that I really liked, and I think is going to, I know somebody, I'm not going to say who, but a media member floated the idea to keep an eye out for LaMelo Ball being traded, due to the fact that the Hornets organization is a completely new regime, from the coaching staff to the exec to the owner. So there's no allegiance to LaMelo, and they actually might like Brandon Miller more than LaMelo. So what if you just swap LaMelo for Ja Morant? I think that's the best case scenario in terms of players that could be available. But one of the ones that I think is interesting to look out for, if you just look for players who have, contracts, I think a 3-team trade of Ja Morant, Jrue Holiday. If the Grizzlies are just trying to be contenders and just trying to be good and have a competent roster with, I guess, somebody that, and I know Jrue Holiday's lost a step in comparison where he was in prior seasons, but I do think Jrue Holiday, who still, is going to be able to give you like 11, 4-4, or like 12, 5-5 on a league average 3-point shooting at the very least, could be someone that Ja Morant, you maybe see the Brooklyn Nets give you assets, and he 3-team traded where Ja goes to Brooklyn and Jrue goes to Memphis, and salary cap relief goes to the Boston Celtics, and maybe some assets go to the Grizzlies in compensation. That's one that I could think of. And you got to think it's got to be players that people would have interest, like, unless maybe a Josh Giddey sign and trade it. And I feel like that's where, is his value that low? Outside of that, you don't think, I'm just going to read off some players that I don't think teams would want. Like, Thunder aren't going to be interested. The Clippers won't be interested. The Knicks won't be interested. Pacers won't be interested. As you guys know, Shea, James Harden, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese. Pistons, they have Cade, and even if they wanted to do like a Jaden Ivey like swap, I still don't think that's going to happen. Then the Cavs, they have Darius Garland. The Bucks have Damian Lillard, Trae Young in Atlanta, Steph Curry in Golden State. You have Jamal Murray in Denver, and then we just talked to you if it was a Boston, it's not like he's going to end up in Boston. It would just be for Drew Holiday. San Antonio has De'Aaron Fox. You got Luka and LeBron in LA. I just don't see that working out there. As I said, maybe, I don't know if, I think the Rockets rather have Fred VanVleet and re-sign him than have Ja Morant, because also that would just create even more spacing issues that they already have to deal with, having Alperen Şengün and Mr. Jalen Green on the same team. So that's already a square peg trying to be fit into a round circle. Already something that they're trying to figure out. So this would just be adding another thing that they would need to figure out. Now, I think, and Kyrie's not going anywhere. Outside of that, I don't see a team like Jordan Poole would not be someone you'd be trading for. And as I said, LaMelo Ball might be the only one. I know Anthony Simons could be a guy, but I wouldn't be one. Like, Anthony Simons doesn't feel like an upgrade, and it feels like kind of a downgrade. And if you're going for someone, wouldn't you be going for an offensive nucleus that you would hope could elevate this team? And that's the biggest thing for me. Or a defensive guy too. Like, that's why we brought up Drew Holiday. So to me, when I look at this, I just think, how would you maximize this roster, which clearly defense has been a problem for them? And if they can have a guy who can come over and help their defense, I think would be huge. And in theory, that would be a guy like we've talked about throughout the video, Drew Holiday. But I think the biggest thing is just trying to figure out what is the best way to move forward. I personally think it's keeping Ja. I understand all this hoopla and what some people might consider as like, oh, they've stagnated under Ja. I think that would just be, a little disrespectful. Like tonight, he had 22 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Yeah, he shot 1 of 5 from 3, 9 of 23. I just think on the season, he's played 44 games. The 3-point shot, it looked like it was in 2021 to 22, the best season we could say in Ja's career, which was year 3. Because it's crazy to think about that we are in year 6 now. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 300 games deep. And that year where he shot like a league average 34% from 3, we thought the 3-point shot was coming around. And obviously it didn't stick, but it's just one of those things that this team needs to figure it out. And I think you're never going to get your return on your investment if you trade Ja Morant. And that's why I think you just keep him and you try to figure this one out, because it's never going to be worth it, what he's worth.